What's up, YouTube? Timmers here. Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turned 10, 20, and 30 this week. Alright, the film celebrating its 10th anniversary. We actually got not one but two Ryan Reynolds movies that turned 10 this week. One of which is a DreamWorks animated film, Turbo, which was directed by David Soren and features a voice talent that includes the likes of Ryan Reynolds, Paul Giamatti, Michael Pena, Snoop Dogg, Maya Rudolph, Bill Hader, Louis Guzman, Ben Schwartz, Richard Jenkins, Ken Jeong, Michelle Rodriguez, and Sam Jackson. The film is set in LA and follows an ordinary garden snail named Dio/Turbo, voiced by Reynolds, who pursues his dreams of winning the Indy 500 after a freak accident gives him super speed. Hey, before Ben Schwartz was the voice of Sonic, he appeared in another film that included someone having super speed. So, yeah, but that aside, this movie did not really get much love or even talked about at the time. I mean, the film just came and went. I gotta say, Turbo was really good. Like, it was really fun. Definitely felt like a kid's Fast and Furious in a weird way. I'm not saying that because Michelle Rodriguez was in this, but definitely had a bit of a Fast and Furious vibe for kids. Ryan Reynolds, I thought he did a good job. I mean, he of course at the time did not one but two movies for DreamWorks. He was also in The Croods, and of course he would go on to do the sequel. But yeah, I really enjoyed Turbo. I mean, it's a shame that it did not really get the recognition it deserved. I thought it was really fun, entertaining, really good film. If you guys haven't seen that, all right. Another Ryan Reynolds movie that turns 10 this week. It is R.I.P.D. Of course, directed by the same director of the first Red movie, uh, and stars Ryan Reynolds. You had Jeff Bridges, Kevin Bacon, Mary Louise Parker, Marissa Miller was in this, and R.I.P.D. was also marked as a Rest in Peace Department. Uh, Isabel recently a stain cop who joins the team of undead police officers working for the Rest in Peace department here and tries to find the man who murdered him. The film is actually based on a comic book, the same name. For some other reason, decided to go ahead and do a sequel that came to video last year, which, yeah, it's actually on Netflix. It's not really something you really want to check out, but that aside, RIPD, I guess you could say, definitely had a bit of a Man in Black feel to it and everything. I was actually interested in this film at first. I mean, you had Ryan Reynolds teaming up with Chuck Bridges. That seemed really cool. But my God, this movie was bad. It did definitely the effects wasn't great. I mean, for one, it flopped, which hence why the sequel went home to video rather than theirs. And then I had Ryan Reynolds and Chuck Bridges in it. But yeah, this just really felt like a Man in Black ripoff. It was not all that funny. It definitely did not have great heart to it. I mean, it's a complete mess. So yeah, there's that. All right. Speaking of Red, by the way, because RPD was actually directed by the same guy who did Red, the first Red movie. Funny enough, Red Two actually came out 10 years ago. Of course, Red 2 features the return likes of Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren. This time around was directed by Dean Parasite, who directed Galaxy Quest, Fun with Dick and Jane, and he will go on to direct Bill and Ted Face the Music. And this time around, you got retired CIA agent Frank Moses, played by Bruce Willis, who reunites his unlikely team of elite operators for a global quest to track down a missing portable nuclear device. And Red Shoe, while nowhere near as good as the first Red, I thought Red Shoe was pretty fun. Definitely very entertaining. You also had Anthony Hopkins was in this. Who else was in this one? Oh, wait, Lee Bong Han was in this. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Mary Louise Parker. So she pretty much had like two films that week. John Malkovich. I can't remember if you. No, I don't think Morgan Freeman was in this one. But it's been a while since I've seen Red Shoe. But I remember I had a really fun time with like I said, no one near as good as the first Red because the first Red was really awesome. But Red Shoe definitely had some really fun charm to it. Really cool seeing these older characters, kicking behind. So not a bad film if you guys haven't seen that. All right. Also, Train 10, we got The Conjuring, which of course was pretty much kicked off an interesting horror franchise. Of course, we go on to get Conjuring 2, Conjuring 3, get the Annabelle spin offs. We got The Nun, and we got The Nun 2 coming out, which who knows that how good that's going to be. But nothing would have happened if it wasn't for the first Conjuring. Of course, we got to know much about the first Conjuring. It starred Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are these paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of haunting and their purpley real life reports inspired the Amityville horror story and all. And it's a really this movie is completely creepy. You know, you had very young Joey King was in this. Um, Lily Taylor was also in this. You had some Ron Livingston, some really decent cast members. It definitely had some really creepy, terrible moments. Really interesting. Great performances by Farmiga, by Wilson. Really good film if you guys ever seen that. Another film that turns 10, we got a movie that not really many people really probably even heard about called Girl Most Likely, which starred an interesting cast that include the likes of Kristen Wiig, Matt Dillon, Annette Bening, Natasha Lyonne, Glee actor Darren Criss. And the film stars Kristen Wiig as this playwright who stages a suicide attempt to win back her ex here, only to wind up in the custody of her gambling addicted mother, played by Benning. This movie I thought really had great charm. You know, the chemistry between Kristen Wiig and Annette Bening was terrific. Really was heartfelt. It was really funny at times. Really good flick if you guys haven't seen it. And it's also from the same from directors Spencer Berman and Robert Palenci, who also directed the Paul Giamatti movie American Splendor, The Nanny Diaries. They've done some really good work there. So definitely give this one a go if you guys ever seen that. All right, now films turning 20 this week. Oh boy, we got Bad Boys 2. Of course, the follow-up to 1995's Bad Boys, once again directed by Michael Bay, starring Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and it focuses on Burnett and Lowry, who investigating the law of illegal drugs going into Miami. Bad Boys 2, while the first film is really decent and everything, and really kicked off Will Smith's career, I really prefer Bad Boys 2. Come on, you had Gabrielle Union, who would go on to have a spin off on Spectrum. Uh, you know, the movie definitely had some fun entertainment moments, entertaining values. The chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is terrific. I really like the scene with the boyfriend scene. That scene always cracks me up. Um, you know, of course, with Martin Lawrence's character's daughter's boyfriend is pretty much scaring the guy. Yeah, talk about having a dad, as a cop, but yeah, and of course we did get Bad Boys for Life a couple years after. We're getting another Bad Boys, so yeah, I don't know. Bad Boys the new Bad Boys film, Bad Boys 4, will bring Will Smith back to his core and everything. Because I know, let's be real, Will Smith now, yeah, what he did was completely terrible, but I guess people do need second chances. But yeah, well, how should I say? Uh, that's aside, Bad Boys 2 is still a really fun one. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely give it a go. All right. On to Train 20, we got the Joaquin Phoenix film Buffalo Soldiers, which is a black comedy war film directed and co-written by Gregor Jordan and is based on a novel of the same name. The film follows a group of American soldiers stationed in West Germany during 1989, just before the fall of the Berlin Wall. And this is a really fun little war film. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix, obviously one of the best actors there is. He was terrific in this. Other cast members included Scott Glenn, Anna Paquin, Dean Stockwell, Ed Harris. Some really decent cast members. It was really interesting, really funny, and all. Phoenix also was great, so definitely gives one to go. If you guys ever seen that. Also turning 20 this week, we got the British social thriller Dirty Pretty Things. It was directed by Stephen Frears and was written by Stephen Knight, who would go on to write Peaky Blinders, Locke, the Tom Hardy film, and it starred the likes of Chuta Ejiofor. I believe this was actually the movie that put him on the map, if I'm not mistaken. Audrey Tautou and Benedict Wong, years before he played Wong in the MCU, or as Master says, Wongers. Anywho, now, if you guys don't know much about the film here, it follows the lives of two immigrants in London. It was filmed in a documentary style and was produced by BBC Films. And this is actually a really terrific film. Chiwetel Ejiofor's great, Audrey Tautou, who I don't really think does as much as she used to, but she's always been terrific in lots of really interesting French films. Who else was in this? Oh yeah, Benedict Wong. I mean, I forgot Benedict Wong. And, like after seeing Benedict Wong in the MCU, I always keep forgetting he was in other stuff. But hey, Benedict Wong is always great. Who does not love Wongers? Come on. But yeah, Dirty Pretty Things is a really decent crime thriller or comedic thriller right there. All right. Also turning 20, we got Double Whammy about Ray Pluto, played by Dennis Leary, who has many problems. He satirized in the tabloids as the loser cop. His partner is starting to seem suspiciously attracted to him. A pair of screenwriters across the hall keeps bugging him for help. The superintendent of the building is stabbed by Holmes, hired by his rebellious star. And so, yeah, it's a very intriguing stuff here. You also had Elizabeth Hurley, who, by the way, that woman just never ages. Like, Elizabeth Hurley always looks good. You also had Luis Guzman, Steve Buscemi, Scrubs guy, Donna Faison. Really interesting, like comedic based film here. Dennis Leary, I think, is always terrific. Elizabeth Hurley is great. So, really good flick there. Also, turning 20, we got the Mandy Moore film How'd You Deal? It starred Mandy Moore as a teenager who's delusioned by too many examples of love gone wrong. She, of course, refuses to believe that true love exists. Then this new guy comes along. It stars Mandy Moore, Alice Jennings, Peter Gallagher, Dylan Baker, Alexander Holden, Trent Ford. Really nice little charming film there. Of course, I believe this was actually one of the breakouts of Mandy Moore, who gone to stuff like This Is Us. And I think she really played her part really well. The mother and daughter chemistry between her and Alice Janney was terrific. Really, very underrated, but really good flick here. All right. Now, turning dirty this week, we of course got the family classic Free Willy. Now, if you guys don't know much about Free Willy, it stars Jason James Richard, Laurie Petty, Jane Atkinson, Michael Madsen, and of course, it is about the story of an orphan who befriends with this killer whale named Free Willy. I mean, the '90s was pretty much the year of animals. Obviously there was Doctor Dolittle that year. There was Babe. Like, I mean, if you want like a great animal movie, the '90s was your year. And Free Willy was one of them. I mean, this is just a movie about a friendship between a kid and a whale. And also there was Flipper. I believe Flipper came out that year, not that year, but that same decade as well. I mean, of course, I guess Flipper just capitalized on the success of Free Willy here. But yeah, Free Willy is terrific. I mean, the chemistry between the kid and on the whale is terrific. Was really heartfelt in this. I mean, it was a really terrific. It's really terrific. You guys haven't seen it. And of course, they did do a couple of sequels, which the second one is decent, but the other was not all that great. But nothing beats the original Free Willy. All right. Also turning dirty. The sequel just came out last year. So turning dirty this week, we of course got Hocus Pocus. And of course, it was directed by Kenny Ortega, who go on to direct the High School Musical films. Uh, If you guys don't know much about the story in the first Hocus Pocus, it follows a villainous comedic trio of witches played by Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Captain Jimmy, who are invariably resurrected by this teenager in Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween night. I mean, Hocus Pocus, the first Hocus Pocus, is just terrific. The witches are really great. Of course, had a very young Dora Birch was in this. I believe it was not James Marsden, but Jason Marsden who voiced the cat in this. Jason Marsden, of course, at the time also did stuff like Full House. He was voiced of Max in the Goofy movie. Like he was pretty much a hot job at in the 90s. Not to be confused with James Marsden, by the way, but yeah, that aside, Hocus Pocus is a really hoot. It's really fun. Definitely has some really cool scary elements, but I've always had a fun time with it. The sequel is also really decent, just nowhere near as good as the first film. Let's be for real. But yeah, if you guys never really seen Hocus Pocus for some other reason, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It is a childhood classic. Really interesting that Hocus Pocus and Free Willy both came out the same week. Nowadays having multiple kids movies in the same week, very maybe a little harder than at the time. But anyway, all right. Also turning dirty, we got the Pierre Bogdanovich film, The Thing Called Love, which starred the likes of Samantha Mathis, who plays Miranda Presley, who's this young musician who tries to make it big in Nashville. You had River Phoenix, Dermot Mulroney, Sandra Bullock was in this. And of course, it features like a love triangle here. It is a really cute, charming film. Samantha Mathis was great. Dermot Mulroney, River Phoenix, which I think this was one of his final films, if I'm not mistaken. Really cool to talk about two Phoenix movies on this list. We just had a Joaquin Phoenix film and now a movie with River Phoenix, so that's really funny. Of course, in the 80s, River Phoenix was, and I guess early 90s too. River Phoenix was pretty much a hot job at the time too. So yeah, he R.I.P. gone way too soon. I believe he passed away at age 27 or his late 20s, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember when how old he was, but he was a really good actor. Stuff like Stand By Me, Indiana Jones. He was always really terrific. It's a shame that his life was cut tragically short. But that aside, yeah, this movie is actually a really decent film if you guys haven't seen that. But that's pretty much it there. Let me lead you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to be The Conjuring. 20-year one, I'm obviously going to go with Bad Boys 2. And sorry, Hocus Pocus, but I'm going to go with Free Willy. Hocus Pocus is great, but I'm sorry, these witches cannot be a killer whale. That movie is really touching if you guys haven't seen that. But anyway, drop your comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Him signing.